Welcome to Successful Self-Publishing. I'm Connie Rossini, the author of Trusting God with St. Therese and the free ebook, 5 Lessons from the Carmelite Saints That Will Change Your Life. I'm also the owner of the Google Plus community in Indie Catholic Authors. And welcome to the webinar. What I'm planning here is to have about 30 minutes for people who are just curious about self-publishing or who are just getting started. Maybe they're working on their manuscript and haven't gotten any farther than that. And then I will move on to about 30 minutes on more advanced things like marketing, what has worked for me in marketing my self-published book, some things that haven't worked for me, and ideas about things that I'm going to try and that others have tried. After that, the final half hour or so, I plan to have question and answers. Now, I'm hoping that you can see over on the right side of your screen an area where you can write comments. I am not going to pay attention to the comments while I am talking, because I found in a past webinar that makes the event kind of like our family dinners when my kids are interrupting everything we say and we can't get a sentence out without an interruption. So I don't want to be like an ADD webinar master here. So if you want to talk to each other in the chat over on the side, that's fine. And I'm just going to focus on my presentation until that's complete. And then I'll look at some of the questions that you have. I'm going to go ahead and bring up a PowerPoint presentation so that you can see my slides instead of looking at me. There it is. Okay. There we are. When I talk about successful self-publishing, the first question that inevitably comes to mind is, what does it mean to be successful? Does it mean seeing your name in print? Does it mean having a moderate amount of faithful readers? Advancing the gospel? Bringing joy to others? Being able to quit your day job? When you self-publish, you decide what success means to you. In fact, self-publishing, you decide almost everything every step of the way. So you'll be deciding the timeline for publishing, what your cover looks like, how long your manuscript is going to be, what your title is. All of those things that a publisher would usually do for you, you'll be, for the most part, doing for yourself. So when people start asking me about what it takes to be a successful self-published author, the first thing I like to have them clarify is what they mean by success. And it's going to be different for each individual author. For me personally, my goal was to make at least $5,000 my first year of self-publishing. I thought if I couldn't make at least $5,000, that it wasn't really worth my time. So I decided to give it a go for 1 year, and I could always quit after the first year if I didn't make at least that much money. But I had a secondary goal, and that was to try to make $7,500. And I knew it would be really hard to make that goal. I would have to market quite a bit and really work at it. However, I thought that it was within the realm of possibility. Well, last month in January, just at about 6 months after I published, I passed the $7,500 mark in sales. That means actually my revenue. So I have made my goal, which to me means I am a successful self-published author. Now, I don't know whether I will continue selling at the same rate for the second 6 months, so I can't at this point hope to make $1,500 for the first year because my sales have dropped off somewhat in the last couple of months. But I'm thinking that $10,000 should be pretty easy at this point. These are my sales stats from my Kindle, which is, of course, Amazon's ebook service. So in the first 2 months of selling on Kindle, I made about $1,260.52. The red line that you see here is my sales, and the blue line is borrows. And Amazon started just about the same time I published, having a program for borrowing books as well as selling them. So I made about $1,200 the first 2 months, and that is just on the ebook. I also have a paperback, and about 40% of my sales, at least in those first 2 months, were on the paperback. I think that most successful self-published authors would agree that there are 5 basic steps to success as a self-published author. The first thing you need to do is to build your platform. Second, write a great book. Number 3, have it professionally edited. 4, get a professional looking cover. And 5, market for the long term. Now, of course, these things do not guarantee success. Nothing guarantees success. And for each genre, each individual book, things will be a little different, and your success will look a little different. But really, if you aren't doing these 5 things, you're going to have a very difficult time being a successful indie author. And so I want to talk about each of these 5 steps in more detail. Number 1, build your platform first if you can. Now I say if you can because, of course, some people have already self-published. You may be one of those who is already self-published and really does not have what they call a platform. A platform is basically your audience that you are connected with. If at all possible, I suggest you do this before you actually upload your manuscript to any of the ebook or paperback services, so that you have an audience that's waiting there to buy your book when it's ready to go. Don't try to build your platform on Facebook and Twitter. There are good uses for Facebook and Twitter as a self-published author, and I'm going to talk about those a little bit more in the second half of the webinar. But a better way to go about building your audience is to start a blog, or at the very least a static website, or a website that you update just periodically, and build your email list of subscribers. And the reason that the successful authors and some of the big name authors that you might follow would say to build your email list is that you own that list. If you change your URL, if you shut down your website, you take that list of your subscribers with you, and those are the people who are most dedicated to you and your work. You might have 5,000 followers on Twitter, but if Twitter shuts down your account, you lose your connection with all of those people. Similarly, on Facebook, we know anybody who's on Facebook knows that Facebook is always changing the algorithms and the way that they work things. It's getting harder and harder for your friends on Facebook to see the posts that you have unless you are doing some kind of promotion, and that means basically making an ad on Facebook. And if you do anything that Facebook doesn't like, if Facebook thinks you are breaking the rules, often they will shut down a person's account without any warning. And again, you'd lose the connection with all of those followers. Tim Grahl, who used to be a book publicist and now is a self-published author, he's somebody you should follow if you're interested in self-publishing. His website, I believe, is outthinkgroup.com, and his last name is spelled Grahl. He's done some studies on what sells books for authors that he has worked with, and he's found that the subscribers to your email list are about 24 times more likely to buy your book than someone who follows you on social media such as Facebook or Twitter. This is a screenshot of my blog from last week, and I wanted to show you a little bit about how you can go about building your audience with a blog. The first thing I want you to pay attention to is right at the top here. I have got a sign-up bar, and I'm offering subscribers a free chapter of my book, Trusting God with St. Therese, when they sign up. To get this bar here, I use a free app, a free plugin to WordPress, which is called SumoMe. And it's very simple to set up. It works with MailChimp or whatever other mail service you may have. Now, the best place, if you are not yet published, the best place to put up a sign-up form for your website is right here in the upper right corner of your sidebar. That is where somebody's eye is naturally going to look first, besides your blog post. Now, since I have a book out, I decided a couple of months ago to swap out the sign-up form for links to my book. That way, whenever somebody just happens by my blog, they'll see my book, they'll know that I have a published book out there, and maybe they'll at least click on the links to read more about it. But if you scroll down on my blog, you'll see right here, I've moved my subscriber box just down a little bit on the sidebar. Besides this subscriber box actually comes with my theme to WordPress, which is a Genesis theme. And if you're working on WordPress, you should have a subscriber box too that's built right into the theme, so that you don't have to set that one up yourself. It's very easy, and it just blends right into the theme that you have. And notice that this bar is still at the top. This bar follows my readers as they scroll down the page, so that it's always there. There's always present, no matter where they are in the page, somewhere for them to subscribe. And then I also, through the same plugin, SumoMe, have a pop-up sign up. And I have it set up to where it will pop up when a person starts moving the mouse around, indicating that he might be ready to leave the page. You don't want a pop-up to come up every time somebody accesses your blog. I have it set to come up about once a month. And you don't want it to pop up immediately, because people need to have a chance to read some of your writing and know that they like it before you offer them a chance to subscribe. Now, I know a lot of people don't like pop-ups as readers, but I think as self-published authors, we have to get in the habit of asking for the sale, just like a salesman would. And having your pop-up box gives you a chance to ask for the sale, not just leaving your reader to look for and find those subscriber boxes on his own, but taking a moment to ask him, would you like to sign up and receive a free chapter or whatever else you have offered free? These are my subscriber numbers. This is from my MailChimp dashboard. I use MailChimp for my subscriber list for all my email campaigns. And the reason I use MailChimp is it is free for about the first, I think, 8,000 impressions per month. I'm getting close to the 2,000 subscriber mark now. So I used to post on my blog twice a month. Now, in order for my emails still to be free, I had to go down to doing it once a month. And I started with MailChimp in July of 2013, which is, at that time, I offered for subscribers a little 1,600-word ebook that I had made called 5 Lessons from the Carmelite Saints That Will Change Your Life. You can see in this light blue, that is the number of subscribers that I had at the beginning of the month, and the dark blue is the number of subscribers I added that month. So in July of 2013, I offered the free download for people who would subscribe, and I marketed it a little bit here and there on social media. I went on other people's blogs and mentioned, hey, I have this free download, and put a link. And I got close to 50% increase in my subscribers just from having that freebie. But what happened was that one of my subscribers wanted to read on his Kindle the 5 Lessons book. So I ended up uploading it to Amazon, and that's what got me started as actually a self-published author. So for the next several months, I didn't have something that was exclusive anymore to just my subscribers until December of 2014. December of 2014 is when I started offering a new freebie to subscribers. I actually put the arrow, it looks like on January, but I started this for Christmas of December 2013. What I did is I bundled together about a dozen past blog posts. I re-edited them and I offered them exclusively to subscribers, and I don't offer them in any other way. And at the same time, I began to use a pop-up. And you see that in January, I had a huge increase in the percentage of subscribers. When I published my book in July, and I began offering chapter 3 free, I also had a big jump in subscribers. And my next big jump, actually the biggest one that I've had, came the next month when I began being a columnist at spiritualdirection.com. Spiritualdirection.com is the biggest Catholic spirituality site on the internet. At the time, they had about 25,000 subscribers, and it's gone up now to about 30,000. So if you can become a columnist at another big Catholic site, that's another way to get a lot of people to subscribe to your own blog. Okay, we need to move on a little faster, I see here. Number 2, the second step is to write a great book. Now, by saying write a great book, I'm not meaning to toot my own horn and saying that I wrote a great book. But books that are not great books or that are not really well written are not going to sell. Once in a while, you'll get a book that does sell well, that's poorly written, but I wouldn't bet on it. So you need to practice a lot. Don't expect the first thing that you write to be a successful novel or a successful book, whether you're going the traditional route or the self-publishing route. Writers tend to get lots of rejections or have lots of things not work out for them before something really takes off and they are successful. Be willing to be patient for that success to come. Read and research. Read things like Writer's Digest magazine, which tells you how to become a better writer. Read the great writers of past years, past centuries, and today. What are successful writers doing? What are other bloggers saying you should do? Think about the question, what does your audience need? Who is your specific audience, and what are they looking for? You don't want to just kind of go with trends and write whatever is popular, but you do have to have an audience for your work. I encourage you to join a critique group, a group of other writers who can share critiques as you write. I am in a critique group that has helped me immensely, and we go through each other's work chapter by chapter or scene by scene. Finally, when you think your manuscript is in good shape, share it with some beta readers. I used 4 beta readers for my first book, my work in progress. I'm sending out to beta readers hopefully this week. I've got 3 of them lined up right now. These are other writers or readers of your genre who can give you some good tips about how to improve your manuscript. Step number 3 is to hire a professional editor. And I can't overemphasize this step, and that's why I have not included any other text on this particular slide. If you do not have your manuscript professionally edited, people will not continue reading it. If they see lots of mistakes, whether they be grammatical mistakes or typos, people will stop reading. They'll give you a poor review. If they review you at all, they won't recommend your book to others. This is the step where an indie author has to be willing to spend some money. And depending on the size of your manuscript, it could cost you from $500 to $1,000 or more to hire a professional editor. But it's really something you cannot skip if you want to be successful. Now, number 4 was get a professionally designed cover. On the left is my first rendition of my cover for my work in progress, a spiritual growth plan for your choleric child. On the right is the final cover that I came up with last week. The first one looks extremely amateurish. The second one, I used a template from Derek Murphy. I encourage you to look him up. You can buy some templates of his very cheaply and just kind of plug in your own fonts and your own photos and get some beautiful professional looking covers. Another person whose website is great for design is called thebookdesigner.com. Joel Friedlander is the owner of that website. I encourage you to look into both of those. When people are buying your book on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com, they're going to be looking at your cover primarily, not the title of your book. They might click on it afterwards, after they see a decent cover or an interesting cover, and then look at the details. But you won't get that first click if you've got an amateurish looking cover. Number 5, market for the long term. As I mentioned at the beginning, my sales numbers are starting to go down. It's been about 7 months since I published. And you have to continue marketing, always coming up with a new strategy. You can't expect your initial marketing just to carry you through and for your book to keep succeeding. Here's some simple marketing strategies that I think everyone should do. If you have a paperback, always carry it with you. You never know when you might run into somebody who will buy your book if you just happen to have it on hand. Add your book and sales link to your email signature. And I've actually had a very prominent Catholic author recommend my free ebook by seeing it in my email signature when I sent an email to her on a completely unrelated matter. Write a press release when you first publish. There are many free press release services out there. Catholic Online has one for those of you who are Catholic or writing in a religious genre. Put your cover, the cover of your book, on all your social media profiles so that everybody knows you're an author. Give away review copies, especially to other authors. And go on a blog tour when you launch. A blog tour basically is you hop from blog to blog, maybe for a week. Different authors or bloggers will host you and review your book or interview you so that you get a lot of traction in that first week. Now, those are the first 5 steps. I want to talk a little bit about choosing a publishing strategy, and then we'll move on to a few more advanced things. The first path for a publishing strategy would be ebook only. KDP Select is Kindle Direct Publishing. Kindle Direct Publishing, as you would think from the name, is Amazon's ebook publishing arm. If you do KDP Select, that means you agree to publish your ebook only on Amazon, only on Kindle. Now, why would people do that? Well, in certain markets and at certain price ranges, you get a higher royalty when you are select exclusively with Amazon. You also are able to have some free days or sale days in every 90-day period, and they're very easy to set up. Your Kindle Select book also automatically goes into the system that Kindle offers readers for borrowing books, and a lot of people get a lot of borrows. You get paid for those as well, although not nearly as much in some cases as a buy of your ebook. A second route that a lot of people go is through Smashwords, and Smashwords is exclusively a distributor and seller of ebooks. You can upload your PDF or your Word file to Smashwords, and they will use their what they call their meat grinder, and they will change your file so that it can be read on all the different ebook platforms, on your Kindle, your Nook, your iPad, etc. And they will also upload them to iTunes, to Barnes and Noble, to Kobo, and they've got their own sales platform as well. Scrivener is another route you can go. Scrivener is not a sales platform, but it is software that's just for writers. And with Scrivener, you can export your file as an ebook in all the various ebook types, like a Mobi file or an EPUB file, and then you yourself can directly upload them to the different ebook vendors. You get a higher royalty when you do it that way than if you would go through Smashwords, for example. Smashwords takes 10 or 15% of your royalty for their service. Now, I encourage you, especially if you write nonfiction, to do a paperback as well as an ebook. As I said, about 40% of my sales, or at least my sales revenue, comes from my paperback. And it's going to be higher, of course, for somebody who writes nonfiction than for people who write fiction. There are two basic ways that most people these days are self-publishing a paperback. One is CreateSpace, and that is also owned by Amazon. And the other is Lightning Source. CreateSpace enables you to seamlessly have your paperback on Amazon. Of course, if you do CreateSpace and KDP Select, you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket and dealing exclusively with Amazon, but it's very easy to do, very easy for ordering. Lightning Source is a little more complicated. They are used to working directly with publishers, and it will be easier for you if you go through Lightning Source to get your book into bookstores, for example. But it's not an easy company to work with. I have heard that they don't really have a lot of helps for you as an indie author. They do have an imprint now called Ingram Spark, which is trying to do a similar thing to CreateSpace. I haven't read recently how that has gone for other authors, so that's something you may want to look into yourself. All right, this is my CreateSpace dashboard, and I just wanted to show you here that here's my stats for the first 7 months. I made about $2,500 just on the paperbacks that were bought through CreateSpace itself, and then of course I sold many in person as well. All right, now I want to move on and talk a little bit more in depth for those of you who already have some experience self-publishing but are looking for greater success. I want to talk about, first of all, the power of free. Now, there are three basic kinds of free that you can do. One is perma-free. The second is KDP Select Free Days. And the third is generosity with readers and other writers. All of these can be very powerful. You might think that giving your work away for free is devaluing your work, when in fact your readers will really appreciate a certain amount of work free, and it will actually bring you more revenue in the long run. Going back to, this is once again my Kindle dashboard. This time I have instead of 2 lines, I've got 3. And the third line, the green one here, this is actually from the last 3 months of sales. This is downloads of my free ebook, 5 Lessons from the Carmelite Saints That Will Change Your Life. And as I said, I published that in July of 2013, June, of 2013. So it's been over a year and a half. And you can see that I still have about 30 downloads per day on average. This is a way, by having this book permanently free, that a lot more people get to hear my name. And I have now put the first, actually the introduction to my full-length book at the end of my ebook too, as a little teaser to get people interested in my full-length book that I have for sale. And many authors are very, very successful if they're writing a series, for example, of having the first book in their series be permanently free as a way to get readers hooked in, and then hopefully they will buy the rest of the series. So there's the cover for my ebook. The next way of doing free is your KDP Select Free Days. When you are exclusively offering your ebook through Amazon, you can have up to 5 days in each 90-day period. You can offer your book for free on Amazon. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, first of all, it increases your visibility. Amazon has a separate page every day for all the free books being offered that day. And some people just go through and browse all the freebies to see if there's anything that they're interested in. Once you get a lot of downloads of freebies, you are probably going to get a lot more reviews on your book. And some authors have great sales numbers in the few days following their free days, because there'll be so much publicity surrounding their free days that their book will sell sometimes just phenomenally well in the next 2 or 3 days. If you advertise with a service like BookBub, which is very expensive, but I have heard many, many authors for whom BookBub has paid well beyond what they paid to advertise. Your ebook can do even better than it would on its own. You can also choose to do a Kindle countdown deal once each 90-day period instead of free days. I have a countdown deal that started today on my book. Today, my ebook, my ebook is $1.99. It goes up to $2.99 tomorrow, $3.99 on Wednesday, and then back to its regular price of $4.99 on Thursday. And that's another option. I have decided with this particular book that the market for it is small enough that I don't want to give away too many for free. And I also don't want to devalue the book. So I am choosing for now anyway to use countdown deals instead of offering it for free. Thirdly, third kind of free I encourage you to use is ongoing generosity to your readers and other writers. And really, that's the best kind of free that I know about. Blogging and guest blogging is writing for free. When you do giveaways of your book and free downloads like we talked about on your blog, those are more ways that you are giving away your work. Exchanging critiques with other authors, promoting your work together with other authors, and sharing your knowledge in groups or on webinars like this. Be very generous, not to the point where you can't get anything done. And that's always a fine line to cross, I think. but you want to be able to have enough time to get your own writing done and work on the next book as well. But the more you share your knowledge, the more generous you are, generally, the more people are going to be supportive about your work, the more people will be talking about you, the more people will like you. And a lot of readers will buy your book because they like you as a person. Now, of course, I'm not saying just use other people. We want to be sincere and really help other people. And I think a lot of writers are the kind of people who do naturally want to help others. For some of us, that's the very reason, or one of the very reasons that we're writing. Social media for authors. I talked in the first half how Twitter and Facebook are not the places that you want to be building your audience, really. But I'll tell you a little bit about what I have found is good and works on social media. Pinterest, I have found to be the best of social media for promoting my blog posts. Every blog post, I find a nice photo. I usually find fine art painting. And since I am writing for a religious market, I find that religious photos do very well on Pinterest. I will pin my photo. I have it set up in WordPress to automatically go to Facebook and Google Plus and Twitter, but Pinterest I have to do on my own. But I will get sometimes 20 or 30 visitors on a blog post just because they saw it on Pinterest. And I know some people have bought my book who saw it on Pinterest. Facebook, I found, is best for connecting with fellow Catholics. Facebook seems to be the place where most Catholics are hanging out online. At least that's what I have found. I use it for groups like the Catholic Writers Guild has a group on Facebook, which I am very active in. Some people who joined this webinar may be from the Facebook group Clean Indie Reads, which I'm active in as well. My community, Indie Catholic Authors, is on Google+, and Google+ is also best for SEO. Google, since it obviously owns Google+, is now taking into account how active you are on Google+, in how it shows your blog in people's search results when they search for a topic that you write about. I wanted to show you one example of how Twitter has worked for me. A lot of writers spend a lot of time building up their Twitter following. I found that this can be very time consuming, but I wouldn't spend a huge amount of time doing this before you publish. But if you have a moderate following on Twitter, and then you've got your book listed in your profile and with a photo of your cover in your Twitter profile, when you start connecting with more people on Twitter, hopefully they will look at your profile and see, oh, she's got a book out or he's got a book out, and then they'll check out your book. This is I made this for a pin, but I put it on Twitter last month, and I got 10 retweets on this particular tweet, which is not real high compared to what some people on Twitter get, but that's my highest, my most popular tweet to date. I took a beautiful picture. I put a quote from my book, and on the side of it, you can see that I have mentioned the title of my book, and then I made a tweet to go along with it, and I made sure to include the word hashtag Catholic so that all Catholics on Twitter could, possibly see it. These are my stats from Twitter that show how many impressions my different tweets have gotten over the last 4 weeks. And here you have January 25th. This is the day that I tweeted that particular thing. I had about 1,000 impressions. That means about 1,000 people potentially saw that particular tweet. And then I had about 500 over the next 3 days. That actually resulted in several sales for me, I believe. On January 26th, the day after that tweet went out, I sold 8 paperbacks. And I can't attribute those paperback sales to anything other than that tweet being shared. Before that, I was selling about 2 to 3 paperbacks per day online. You'll see the next day, the 27th, I also sold several, but I had my post at spiritualdirection.com the next day, and I always get a fair amount of sales, a sales boost when I do that. So it's hard for me to tell whether on the 27th the tweet was still making a difference, but I do believe that it made a difference that particular day. So Twitter can work. With all social media, I think you have to hit kind of a critical mass of friends and followers before it really does very much for you. I think I'm just beginning to get to that point at Twitter. I have about 1,200, 1,200 or 1,300 followers right now on Twitter. Not a huge amount, but more than I had 6 months ago. What else has worked for me? Well, one thing that's worked very well is public speaking. I did a talk at a parish in the Twin Cities back in November, and besides they're paying me a stipend to speak, I sold 14 paperbacks that day. So that was a very profitable day for me. Another thing, well, I'm going to be speaking at the Minnesota Catholic Home Education Conference in May, and last year that conference had 900 attendees. So I'll be giving a couple of workshops. There'll be 4 workshops at a time. So I'm hoping that I get at least a couple hundred people between those 2 workshops that come and hear me speak. And then I'll have a table set up where I am selling my book, and I'm planning on my second book on the choleric child to be on sale by that time also. Another thing that has worked well for me, and I haven't seen a lot of authors doing this, is offering a deal on bulk paperback sales. If you buy 5 paperbacks directly from me, I will give you 1 free. I've had a couple people buy 10 and get 2 free. I include, as long as you're in the US, I include free shipping in that, and I sign them all, personalizing them when possible. And I have sold, should have added that up beforehand, but I've had 5 or 6 people so far who have taken advantage of those deals. And enthusiastic fans sharing with others. If your fans, your readers love your book, they're going to do a lot of the marketing for you. I've had some of that going on in the last couple of months. I've had some boosts in my paperback sales because people are coming back who read the book and saying, oh, now I want to buy a bunch for my friends. I had one gal who wanted to have a bunch available for people at a retreat that she was giving. What hasn't worked for me, don't waste your time on print ads. Before Christmas, I ran an ad in the National Catholic Register. They have a special Christmas gift guide section, and I spent $300 on that ad, and I got 0 sales. No joke, 0 sales that I could attribute to that ad. Did not work at all. A couple weeks later, I ran an ad in the print edition of Our Sunday Visitor, and that one I did get a measurable boost in sales, but it still wasn't enough to cover the cost of the print ad. About the same time, I also ran an ad on the OSV website, and I did not see any measurable growth in ebook sales, even though people just could click through from the ad to my ebook. So I would discourage you from doing those unless you have done your research really well and you know what works. Another thing that doesn't work is spamming your friends and followers with buy my book posts on social media. I follow a lot of other authors on Twitter, and some authors, they are always talking about their book. Now, if you go to my Twitter page today, you will see a lot of tweets about my book because my book is on sale right now. So I want to make sure that I get a lot of tweets out there. But normally I will tweet once a day or once every 2 days about my book. And my other tweets will be, retweeting things from other authors or something about Catholic spirituality or my latest blog post or somebody else's blog post. If you want people to retweet or share what you are posting, you can't just talk about your own book because people, your followers and friends will quickly get very tired of that. And not only will they not retweet you, but they won't even continue reading your posts. Here are some things that I am still working on. I want to do more joint marketing with other self-published authors. So Indie Catholic Authors had a joint marketing effort in December, which was another thing that completely failed. My ebook did well because I had it on a Kindle Countdown deal at the same time. But many of the other authors who did not run a Kindle Countdown deal at the time or whose books had been out for a longer time, those sales, the joint venture that we did not work for them. So I'd like to fine tune that in the next 6 months or so and try again. I think that it could be very powerful if a group of authors is all co-promoting each other's books, because then we are hopefully getting sales from crossing over into somebody else's audience. I am right now working on an audiobook. Some authors, Joanna Penn is one, who say that their audiobook is netting them as much as their paperback. Now, my paperback has done quite well for a self-published author, so I don't know if that will be true for me, but I have I actually found a Catholic homeschool mom who does audiobooks, and her recording is due to be finished this week, and then I'll be listening to it and helping her to edit it and hopefully have an audiobook out sometime in March. I'm hoping maybe in the next year to do a Spanish translation, since there's a big market in Spanish speakers for Catholic spirituality. And finally, I am doing some hybrid publishing. What is hybrid publishing? That means crossing over and doing not only self-publishing, but also some traditional publishing. I have not yet signed a contract with a traditional publisher, but I do have a project that I am planning on working on. I turned down three editors in the past who wanted me to submit a proposal. I waited for the exact right editor and publisher and for a project that wouldn't take me too much away from my own books that I want to write. And I didn't even have to write a book proposal for this one. It was all basically done for me. Like I said, I haven't seen the contract yet. It should be coming to me any day. So I'm not 100% sure I'm going ahead with this, but I have started the research. And the bit of research I've done on hybrid publishing has indicated that people who do a mix of both traditional publishing and self-publishing actually make the most money out of any published authors. So I'm hoping that will be true for me as well. All right, now I am finished with my presentation. So if you have any questions or comments, this would be the time. that you could ask me that. And you should have on your right sidebar a little area where it says group chat. You can enter a message down at the bottom, and I will be able to see what you have to say and answer any questions you may have. So I know that the video is a little bit behind. It's not quite live, so I'm going to talk for a couple more minutes just while I wait for some questions or comments to appear. But go ahead, as soon as you hear this, if you've got any questions for me, feel free to go and enter those at any time. One other thing that I've thought about writing a blog post about, but I haven't yet, is God being my marketing director. And sometimes I find that things that I try, like the print ads that I talked about, that they don't work for me, and things, I might have really high expectations about how some certain marketing tack is going to work, and it falls flat. And then something comes out of the blue, and I make a bunch of sales on something that I didn't even initiate. And that's why I like to say that, God is really in control of my marketing as a Catholic self-published author. I was not looking to be a columnist at spiritualdirection.com, for example. But out of the blue, just a few weeks before I published my book, Dan Burke, who runs the website spiritualdirection.com, asked me if I would join him and be a columnist there. So that was something that was a pure gift. But on the other hand, I had done some work to make that possible. I had commented on the blog. I had put a link back to one of my blog posts that was speaking about contemplation, which was a subject that they were talking about one day on the Spiritual Direction blog. And Dan Burke took a look at the blog post and he liked it. He liked my writing. He liked comments that I made on the site. And he eventually invited me to be a columnist there. So sometimes this again is a way of being paid back for what you're doing for free. You never know exactly how everything is going to work, what's going to be successful for you and what's not. As a self-published author, and especially those of us who are self-publishing in religious genres, there hasn't been a lot done yet. It's still pretty new. So we are, in some ways, we're like guinea pigs. I'm not seeing any chatting yet, so I am hoping that you can see the sidebar where you can write comments and questions, because I'd love to answer some of your questions. If that's not working for you, I'm going to go over to take a look at the event page also. Oh, I think you're a little bit behind, and that's what's going on. Okay. In fact, it looks like it's quite a bit behind being live. So I will just be patient and wait for you. And when you get to this point in the video, you'll see that I'm chatting a lot. What other points? As I said, I'm hoping to do more public speaking. I think that public speaking can be something where you really can potentially sell a lot of paperbacks. If you're looking to write a paperback, that would be a great way to market them. I was originally hoping to get my book into Catholic bookstores, and I went ahead and got the Catholic Writers Guild seal of approval, which basically says that, according to some reviewers, my book is worthy to be in Catholic bookstores. I have a message here from John Paul saying the Hangout is not working for him, but he's asking whether my books are available on any ebook store besides Amazon. And yes and no is the answer to that, John Paul. My free ebook I have available through Smashwords. So I've got that in PDF, I've got it on Barnes & Noble, I've got it on Amazon, just about anywhere that Smashwords distributes. But at this time, Trusting God with St. Therese is exclusively on Amazon. And I figure I will keep it that way until I see that things like my countdown deal days are not giving me a big boost anymore in sales. And then at that point, I'll think about whether it's worth my while to stay exclusive with Amazon. Thank you for that question. John Paul, anybody else? Oh, lost you, Connie. Uh-oh. Well, let's see. Gloria is saying that she lost me. I hope that's not true of everybody. I still see that I have a number of viewers, so I'm hoping that the video is working for people. It's still showing me that the video is live. So I'm going to keep going. If others of you have questions or comments, please feel free to write them in the sidebar or their busy day. Okay. All right. I am going to share the link to YouTube again, I think. Let's see. Because some people are, apparently, I'm not quite sure why people are having trouble seeing it. So I'm going to put this on here. Tell people they can try this link. Okay. Neil Combs is asking about the person that I mentioned for book templates. Derek Murphy is his name. I forget what the name of his website is, but it's DEREK Murphy. If you just do a search on that, you'll come up with it really quickly. He has about 100 templates for a price of like $49. I mean, it's really, really, really reasonable. And he also has an application that will help you and to make your cover, and he has instructions step by step on how to use the templates. Okay. Stephen Atwood has a question. He says, I'm writing a youth program associated with my sci-fi dystopian book. The story shows several Catholic lessons, especially mercy. What is the best way to communicate that message? The question is, how can I share the message beyond my parish with other Catholics? I'm not sure if that's really a marketing question there that you're asking me, Stephen. I guess I would encourage you to, publish an ebook either through KDP or through Smashwords. I would encourage you to publish a paperback if you think that might be something that young people could benefit from. If you could get a word in your diocesan newspaper, maybe have somebody write a review in your diocesan newspaper. Jean Hyman, who I believe just joined our webinar, she is somebody who writes reviews from the National Catholic Register. Have people write reviews there. Okay, so yes, Stephen says his goal is to share the gospel via themes and stories that folks may not realize at first. Continue connecting, Stephen, with other Catholic fiction authors. Ron O'Gorman, who is also on this, has joined this video, is doing very well, I believe, with his Catholic-based thriller. He's someone that you might want to talk to about how he has marketed it. Really, there's a group that he is a part of that I mentioned earlier, a Facebook group called Clean Indie Reads that you'll want to check out. There's, a lot of those people are Protestants or Mormons or just others who are writing for young people. There's some really good folks there that can give you good tips, and they're very helpful on how to market certain types of fiction. Mary Lou is asking, she said, I believe you said MailChimp is free with up to 2,000 subscribers. When you exceed 2,000, will you stay with MailChimp or switch to another service? If you switch, how will you entice your current subscribers to join your new list? Well, if I do switch, I can take that list with me because the list is portable. I won't have to have them re-sign up for the new list. I haven't really investigated it that much yet. I know that some people say that MailChimp very quickly gets really expensive once you go over that limit. I thought originally that it was you could have 2,000 subscribers total. And then I had a problem a couple of months ago with MailChimp telling me I had too many subscribers to continue for free. What I found out was that they actually do 8,000 impressions per month. So if I would only post once a month on my blog or only send out one email per month, I could have up to 8,000 subscribers. But I like to engage with my audience more often than that. My audience actually was used to me writing 2 posts a week, and now I'm down to 1. So that's a great question, Mary Lou, and I haven't really looked into the other mail services that much yet. John Paul is asking, have you tried an advertising site called Thunderclap? It's basically like Kickstarter for social media. You ask so many people to pledge to spread the word about your event or book, and if you reach the number you picked, your social media campaign will take place. No, I haven't tried any kind of Kickstarter campaign. At this point, I'm trying to make money simply either by public speaking or by selling my books once they are published. I know some people have had success with Kickstarter type campaigns. Trying to think of the one. There is a Catholic gentleman named, I think his name is Chad. I can't remember what his last name is, who had a very successful Kickstarter campaign for his book. But to me, it's just another thing to do, and I would rather be spending my time actually writing my book. And now that I've made some money on my first book, I don't need to be paid up front as I might have in the past. But if, I guess it's probably worth doing some research on if you think it's going to be difficult for you to, for example, put out the money for an editor. Okay, how do you publish your paperback? I publish my paperback through CreateSpace. It's very simple. The hardest part of publishing the paperback actually was the formatting, and I found it was easier to format an ebook following the guide. There's a free guide that Smashwords puts out, and John Powell, I'm sure, since you distribute through Smashwords, I'm sure you're familiar with that. That made it very easy to format my ebook, and I encourage anyone who's writing an ebook, even if you don't plan to distribute through Smashwords, use their guide, because it gave me a very smooth transition to when I uploaded my ebook to Amazon. I had very few errors that I had to fix after using Smashwords guide. For formatting your paperback, you'll want to look at Joel Friedlander's site that I mentioned before, thebookdesigner.com. He tells you what kind of fonts to use, margins, what your front matter and back matter should look like. I mean, just every single thing you would ever have to think about as a publisher of a paperback book. All right. Anybody else? Let's see. Did I miss anything? Neil Combs is asking if you have a subscribe button on your website, as I talked about at the beginning. What are people subscribing to? They are subscribing. I have it set up to subscribe to my blog posts. You might do something else. A lot of popular authors or authors who have a big following will have a course that you can take through email. So maybe they'll have a series of 5 or 10 emails that talk about one subject, and you only have access to that information if you sign up for their list. And then, of course, they let you know that once you're on that list, you will also periodically receive information about new books that they have released or new projects they're working on. So you could go that route too. I'm hoping to do some video and even video courses in the future based on my books. And then I would have a separate subscription list for that, with maybe one video free when you subscribe, something of that sort. That was a good question. All right. Anything else? Nancy Ward asked for the WordPress app for the movable subscriber box. I use a company, it's called AppSumo, and the the plugin is Sumo Me. So just like Japanese wrestling sumo. Okay, is there anything else? I'm looking back over the comments here. Now I'm seeing that a lot of people had some technical difficulties early on, and I apologize for that. I decided not to pay attention to what was going on over there during the webinar, because the last one that I did, as those of you who know that did the first hangout I had back when I first published, we spent a lot of time dealing with technical difficulties, and I just wanted to make sure that we got enough information in this show. And you can always go back and watch it. Gloria, you said that a lot of this information is over your head, but you know what? You're going to have the replay available, and you can listen to it 100 times if you need to, stopping it when you need to. You can email me, or message me through our Indie Catholic Authors group or through Facebook. And if you have specific questions about anything that I covered that I went too fast on. Okay, Mary Lou is asking, she said, I love your website. Did you hire a designer? Well, that's another story about how God is in control. Mary Lou, I won a free website design. The website designer I use is Lauren Gould. I believe it's Gulde. She runs a company called Santa Clara Design. She's a Catholic. It's named after St. Clare. And every year on the Feast of St. Clare, she holds a contest for a free blog redesign. And I happen to be looking to have my blog professionally done, to move from a from WordPress.com to a self-hosted site, WordPress.org. And I won the contest, so I got it done for free. And I use a Genesis Lifestyle Pro is the name of the theme. It is a pro theme, so I think it costs about $100. I got that free as part of my prize, but yeah, I was very happy with the design. Stephen says, I'm currently working on a mystery book focused on the corporal works of mercy, healing. My mystery novel talks about that people that are disabled mentally have good things to work for. Is there a Catholic market for that? I will give it away free. I just want to get the message out. Yeah, I'm not at all an expert on what everybody is reading out there. Remember that right now we have the world as our market. So in the past, if you were publishing traditionally, you might just have to look at a small market in the United States, but you have on the web, you can connect not only with readers in the U.S., but in India and China and anywhere that somebody speaks English, and then you can even get your book translated. So yes, the corporal works of mercy, I'm sure, would be tying that into a mystery book. It sounds intriguing. I would probably buy it myself, Stephen. So yeah, there's definitely, you just have to learn exactly how you're going to pitch the thing. But if you have specific questions about that as you get closer to publishing, I'd be happy to help you with that too. John Paul asks if I use Goodreads. I am on Goodreads. I have, when I first published, I did, do a giveaway on Goodreads, and then later the signed copy. I gave away 2 signed copies of my paperback. Later, one of them I saw on eBay. So I think that one of the people who won was not interested in my book at all. They just wanted to resell it and make some money. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Goodreads because of that. Some authors say, well, even if you don't get any reviews out of it, out of your giveaways, they still get a lot of people interested in your book, so your visibility goes up. I know there are a lot of people, I do have an ad that's been running on Goodreads, and it, I only put in like, I don't know, $25 or something, and it's taken all these months, 7 months. I still haven't used up all my ad money on Goodreads. A number of people have put it in their to-read list. I just think it's really hard to gauge how many people from Goodreads have actually then gone and bought my book. There's no good way to measure that. So, yeah, I think that an author should be on there, definitely. And once in a while, I do get people connecting with me on there, people asking me questions or liking my blog posts that show up there. But I don't spend a lot of time on Goodreads because it's, I haven't seen concrete results with it. Anything else? We've got about 8 minutes left until I'm going to have to shut it down for the night because I've got some other duties I have to attend to. But does anybody else have a question or comment? I'll wait just a minute. Let's see if there's something else I can talk about in the meantime. I know there are so many other things that I have tried out or that I have read other people trying out. On Facebook is, I did a lot of connecting and put a lot of time into building up my number of friends on Facebook before I published my book, and on commenting on other people's posts, sharing people's posts, people getting to know me a little bit. And that way, when I did publish, I had a lot of my friends on Facebook share my post, and especially my first sale that I had, which I ran at the time of St. Therese's feast day, and my book is about St. Therese. Ron is saying, thanks so much. The best advice I ever had was never quit. Everyone can be published. Absolutely, everyone can be published. Again, as I said at the beginning, decide what success means to you. If success is just having a paperback on your shelf that has your byline on it, that is definitely doable for everyone these days. It's very easy. And with a little more work, you can actually make some money. So yeah, don't give up, definitely. Deacon Patrick is asking if I could share my notes. Okay, yes, I have. What I will do is I made a PowerPoint slide presentation, and I will share the PowerPoint in our Indie Catholic Authors group here on Google+. I will also post the video to our website, which is indiecatholicauthors.wordpress, there we go, .com. All right. I think we're winding down unless anybody has any last minute questions. If not, feel free to ask me questions in our Indie Catholic Authors group. I'd like to see that group become more active. So that would be great to take some of this that we talked about and say, okay, could you give me a little more details on how you did this area or that area? I'd be happy to do that. I like to help other people out, especially it's something that I've been successful with. So I thank you, all of you who joined. I apologize for anybody who had technical difficulties and for the video going out on our Google Plus page. I guess it did keep going on YouTube. I don't know why the Google Plus page dropped out. But thank you for joining us. John Paul has one last question. He says, do you recommend using Facebook ads? I have never used a Facebook ad. I haven't heard real positive things about Facebook ads. I know that people in the Clean Indie Reads group, some of them have used Facebook ads, but they haven't really used them to sell their book. It's more to boost certain blog posts and such. I don't think personally that that's going to be a really effective way to engage your audience. Thank you. I want to say thank you to Saint Therese, the patron saint of my book. Thank you to John the Evangelist, the patron saint of our group, for helping us to have a successful webinar. And I hope to see you on our in our group, Indie Catholic Authors on Google+. Have a good night, everybody.